Mhm.
All right. So, welcome everybody. Glad to have you here today. We're going to have a hopefully a informative call today. We're going to talk about something that I think most contractors are just completely unaware of or don't know how to take into action. So, um, how many of you guys, just out of curiosity, have sensed a bit of a slowdown in the market? How many of you guys are doing less sales this year than last year? Give me a one in the chat. How many of you guys are experiencing that a little bit? Okay. Okay. So nobody. Perfect. All right. How many of you guys would like to close more deals and have this be the best year that you've ever had? Okay. So here's the biggest misconception that I see most often, and in fact, believed it myself for a number of years, right? Most contractors believe that if they had more leads, they'd close more jobs. But the reality is, most of you guys already have enough leads. You don't need more leads. You need to close more of the ones you already have. All right. And we're going to talk about a formula here that works universally, and something to focus on. I also want to make sure that I'm explaining this properly. This doesn't just apply to sales. Okay. So if we're looking to hire or recruit, all right, I often say this, hiring and recruiting is exactly the same, all right, as marketing and sales. Okay. The same principles, same platform. So if you have trouble finding good guys, all right, it's often a marketing and sales issue at its core. All right. And the same rules apply here. Okay. So what am I talking about? So the reality of it is, a lot of times when we are showing up and facing objections or not winning jobs, all right, it's because we broke the first rule, all right? And the first rule is simple as this: be the first there. Okay. 78% of homers decide to work with a contractor that responds first. Okay. That's a big position to be in. Only 7% of businesses are oh, hey, can I get everybody to just mute? I'll mute everyone. Okay. Only 7% of businesses, okay, and that's businesses overall. Contractors are even low. I couldn't find any data. I'm sure it's maybe 1 or 2% can respond to a new opportunity within 5 minutes. Okay. And for those of you that are struggling with sales or marketing or hire or recruiting, all right, this is sort of the golden standard that we want to get to. All right. Now, why? Maybe you've noticed that your customer base is changing, right? Maybe you've noticed that they're someone who is um, looking to do business with you, all right, has a lot less patience, right? They're looking for speed and convenience, and you have to ask yourself, are you providing speed and convenience to your customers? All right. What's primarily driving this change in the market, all right, and where you're going to see things speed up even quicker over the near future, all right, is everybody, including grandma, is now using Amazon, aren't they? Right? How many of you guys ordered from Amazon opposed to going to a retail store? Okay. I'm sure all of you guys that are on the call today at one point or another have used that for convenience. Okay. Are you providing that to your customer? All right. Customers now are more focused on the speed and convenience because we have services like Amazon, because other markets are improving the quality of their services. All right. This is having impact in the contracting world as well. They expect the same type of response. Okay. What I see most often, all right, is most contractors, if they're, even slightly on the ball, are 2 to 3 days getting back to customers if they get back to them, right? Their quotes are slow, their estimates are slow. And what's happening is guys that are sharp on these things are coming in and they've already sold and started the job before you guys even get a quote out. Okay. Pretty hard to compete with that, isn't it? Right. And we have this experience in my business. I charge a fairly high premium. We've done pretty well. I have a business that virtually operates without me. And these are the things that we focus on as a sales team. Now, in reality, okay, if I were being completely honest, my quality of work is not better than my nearest competitor. All right. The quality of work I'm doing is not better than my nearest competitor. However, if you were to ask any of my customers or the people I do business with, they would see me as being a much higher value more often than my nearest competitor. All right. And I know this because we've grown through down times. We're growing right now through what some would consider a recession. Okay. Many of the clients we work with here at Contractor AI are doing the same. All right. And they're doing the same, not because, they're more talented, not because, they have more leads, not because of any of these outside factors that we often attribute it to, not because they're pricing low, they're actually pricing higher, right? It's because they're following this principle of be there first, respond the quickest, get your quotes out, get your communication out the quickest. And now has never been easier to have a fast response. Okay. So responding first isn't just about being fast. It's also about providing a positive customer experience. Okay. So once again, people are used to getting this kind of service. They're used to getting things at a convenience. If you break that, all right, and you're not providing that to them in their eyes, in their impression, all right, they're automatically going to assume that the value you're going to offer in your service is going to be lower. All right. Therefore, if you're getting compared to a competitor, and all three of you guys, let's just hypothetically say, all three of you guys come out, you look the same, you sound the same. All right. Pretty hard to differentiate there. And the prices are relatively close. Who do you think they're going to choose to go with first? Okay. What I see more often happen is they're only getting one price. They're only getting one thing, especially in service based businesses. They're not calling, three plumbers to get their plumbing fixed. They're not calling three electricians. They're calling the first one that can get there the fastest, the first one that can respond to them and get them into schedule the fastest. Okay. In the contracting, doing larger contracts, this same rule applies, right? Somebody looking at our average ticket size in my business is about 43K. This week we're doing, $180,000 project in roofing. That's a fair size project, and I can definitely contribute it to our speed to lead time. We can track this, and we know that our closing percentages climb much higher, and that's despite any outward pressure, down markets, whatever you want to call it. All right, that the faster we can respond, the higher our conversion rates go. Right, full stop. Okay. Pricing, none of that stuff has factored. And the reason why is because we are providing the value that they expect. All right. So again, if it's taking you 2 weeks to getting a quote to them, they have less trust in you, period. Okay. So the Drift Lead Response Survey, a recent study that measured the response times of about 433 companies, all right, within the contracting realm, found that only 32 companies were capable of responding within 5 minutes, right? 240 companies took 5+ days to respond and didn't respond at all. Okay. So think about this. Let's put this into perspective here for you. Okay. If you're amongst the 7%, so think about, sometimes, many of us think that it's, we have to spend more on ads or we have to get more marketing or, you know, more word of mouth, all of these other, high lifting things that we are attempting to do, right? We go out and buy $100,000 truck so we can look flashy. All right. And meanwhile, all right, all we had to do to increase our sales and not have to increase our costs is just increase our response times, right? Pretty simple, pretty low hanging fruit, don't you think? Anybody here on this call today, is anybody here capable of responding within 5 minutes of an inquiry? Give me a one in the chat. Let me know. No? Okay. All right. No. Okay. So now let's take it one step further. Let's say that, the response time, you're getting back to them like 55% of the market, all right, after 5 days, okay, and your nearest competitor is getting to them within that 5 minutes, booking and scheduling a call, all right, and possibly even getting started on the estimate, all right, by the time you even call them back, right? What impression have we left with our customer? What is that saying to them? I'll tell you what it's saying to them. You are going to get to they're going to compare everybody else to the guy that responded first. So guess what? You're probably pricing just to keep the first guy honest. And I hear this all the time. Okay. And then we get, we stamp our feet and whine about, oh, well, it must have been a lower price. They must have undercut me. I hear this over and over and over again in every type of market, B2B, commercial, no matter which way you want to slice this one, it's always the same. Okay. Now, again, I challenge everyone here, right, to really think about how they're responding, the time that they're taking to respond, and try to increase that just a little bit and see what the difference is in your customer. See how willing they are to negotiate prices with you. All right. Or to flat out give you the job. Right. So if you can't engage your leads at least within 24 hours, chances are another contractor already has. Okay. Um, it's not an accident that most contractors that are successful in any market that dominate markets have fast response times. It's not an accident. All right. And again, looking at the contractors that are struggling and falling behind, one of the first places that I look at is, okay, A, do they have any leads at all? And then if they are getting leads, what's that client journey or experience like? Okay. Most of the time, again, we're going to find the flaw right at the initial engagement with their customers. That's where we're going to see sort of the bigger problems start to occur and the ones that are the easiest to identify. Okay. So let's talk about some practical ways that we can use to improve our speed to lead. Okay. And again, I'm going to try and apply this to other areas of the business so you can see how useful and practical this is. So first things first, all right, we should always have landing pages. Okay. A landing page is designed to engage your prospects. So if you're running leads or anything like that, we want to have a landing page. You want to be able to capture their contact information. Okay. When we can do this, all right, allows us to use CRMs. This allows us to use other tools to automate some of these processes and to give the client the impression that they've been heard and that their request has been um, accepted. And this is again one of the biggest things that separate guys that are struggling to grow and guys that are growing. All right, is this systemization of their responses, of um, getting people into a schedule, making sure that the call has been validated, the request has been validated. Okay. So before I go any further, I want you guys to think about something. All right. If you were to make a request online for something, for services, we all do. Okay. Most of the time when I'm, looking to use a service, so what am I going to do? I'm going to check their Google reviews and then I'm either going to call them or I'm going to submit my information. Right. Now, if I don't get a response from that, all right, I don't get a response. Am I chasing that contact down still, or am I just finding the next guy that's available and calling him the next guy, right? Even if there's a little bit of resistance, okay? I've already called somebody else. So that again, think of your service-based businesses, think of your plumbers, electricians, right? Even your, again, big general contractors. You don't think that, high-end clients, consider their time valuable. Are they going to spend, you know, time wondering if you got the request or not? No, they're just going to move on to somebody else. That's how it works. Okay. So now let's take it one step further. All right. How many of you guys here are looking to make a major hire in the next 12 months? How many guys here are? Okay, no one's looking to hire. Everyone's got all the guys they need. Yes. Okay, great. I am perfect. All right. So now let's imagine for a second, that we treat our hiring and recruiting process the exact same way that we treat our sales pipeline, all right, and our client experience. And oh my God, people always get blown away when I bring this up, but it's a matter of fact, right? So if an applicant were to apply to your business and you had responded to them within 5 minutes, all right, getting them to an interview or screening them to see if they would be a good fit, all right, would you stand a better chance of hiring that person, all right, versus an hour, 2 hours? What do you think? Let's just imagine your dream employee makes an inquiry to your business, is interested in getting hired. All right. And I'll tell you from my own, my own past experiences. All right. Good guys, I mean, they don't have to look for jobs very long, do they? Right? One or two phone calls, they're hired. Okay. Now apply this and think inward about your business. If you are letting applicants pass by, and the only ones that you're getting are the ones that need a job, all right, the ones that are continuously looking for jobs, all right, I would almost guess and be, pretty sure of it, all right, that it's going to be somewhere in the way that you're engaging new applicants, the speed you are engaging with them. Okay. And again, what we're seeing, and from hiring, hundreds of guys myself and for our clients, all right, is that the contractors that can respond first to any inquiry at any point in their hiring process are the ones that are winning the top guys, not guys that are looking for jobs, not guys that are unskilled or unqualified. I mean, the guys that fully qualify for the position. They're able to sort them through the sea of other unqualified applicants, and they're able to have direct contact and communication with them fast. And that's the critical key here that we want to make sure that we're talking about. Okay. They're getting them scheduled into interviews. They're getting them through their processes fast. Okay. That's the only thing that differentiates it. They're not better employers. They don't have better systems. Okay. They don't, offer anything differently. Okay. Most of the time, guys who master this are worse employers than probably you, right? That they don't treat their guys as well as you would treat them. But somehow they're ending up with, the top hires, the top recruits. Okay. And guess what? If we track that process, we'd also find that they seem to beat out you guys for the better jobs, right? They have an abundance of work. Who has people like this in their areas? Who has competitors that you just can't understand why they keep growing, right? Despite them not being as good or as professional or not providing the same quality of work that you do, but over and over again, they get chosen. All right. That's not a mistake. That's not a that's not an error. Okay. That's not because they got lucky. That's not because they have some secret wizardry going on behind the scenes. It's actually very logical why. All right. They can cover more ground and they move faster than you can. All right. On the things that matter. All right. The things that count. All right. Most of you guys, and I'm going to throw a blanket out there, but most of you guys, if you are still on the tools or have been in the trades, we learn to take the priority on the work getting done. Okay. And we neglect the business side of things. All right. And then wonder why we're poor or we're broke. All right. Wonder why we run out of work or we have inconsistent pipelines. Okay. This is probably one of the easiest things to fix and the one that's going to bring you the most immediate results in improving whatever area of your business that you're trying to improve. Okay. So if it's more consistent sales, it's more consistent guys, having the right trades. Okay. Before you think of, the big things that we have to obviously think of, all right, and to have in place. All right. The first thing you should be thinking about are the very, very simple fundamentals of your speed to lead. All right. And your experience or your journey that you're providing for an applicant or a new customer in the initial first engagements. All right. That's where our impressions are made. Right. Okay. Now, when we add a system to this, it gives us some further unfair advantages that we're going to talk about. Okay. And again, maybe for a lot of you guys, you are not great at qualifying your customers, all right? If you're even qualifying at all, we're just running out, giving out quotes, okay? If we have a system in place, we're actually able to take information up front and use AI and use other tools, but we don't need to get too complicated with this, all right? And we can actually prioritize, the leads that we're dealing with, okay? I see a lot of guys here, and I know of a few customers we've helped solve this problem with that absolutely changed their business, that chase everything. Okay, they want to give quotes out to everybody. Okay, they're throwing numbers around. Okay, but they're not landing much, not landing good customers, and they tend to continuously land problematic customers, right? Lowball customers. And again, if we come back to the original source and we really look carefully, all right, most of the time we're going to find that it was in the initial impression, the initial engagement with that customer. We're going to find that it's the value that they presented up front. Okay. How many of you guys have had new hires start only to quit by the end of the day? Right? Or good guys you thought were going to work out really well and then all of a sudden vanish, within a week. Okay. Do you think that's by accident? Right. And if it continues to happen, it's not them. It's not, bad employees or people don't want to work. It's you. All right. And again, it's the journey that you're providing. It's the journey that you're providing, all right, that is causing that problem. All right. Okay. So let's talk about how we improve our speed to lead. All right. The easiest way and the quick win for today is why don't you track it? Right. How many of you guys actually know how long it takes you to respond to an inquiry? Is there anybody here that actually knows how long it takes them to respond to an inquiry? You guys are quiet today. Okay. Well, I track it in our systems here at Contractor AI and everyone I work with. We track this fundamental KPI, all right, across the board. And this is where, again, if you're looking for a practical use of AI, if you're looking for a practical use for automation, this one thing alone, all right, is well worth it. Okay. Now, is AI able to sell your jobs and do all this, is going to run your business for you? No, not yet. Okay. I wouldn't encourage that either. We are still in the people to people business. Okay. We still cannot neglect our sales process to hide behind a computer as far as I'm concerned. And right. And I sell AI as a business. So again, I'm being honest with you and I looked at it in every type of application you can. But where it can immediately bring results, all right. Again, it is qualifying, getting people into schedules, getting people onto phone calls, discovery calls, all right, getting applicants into interviews, okay, all of those things, all right, are big, heavy lifting, time consuming tasks, right? And if we're still doing those things manually, all right, we're falling behind, period, okay? And if you don't think you are, all right, then you must not be willing to grow. If you're trying to do these things manually, all right. Even if you're taking 5 to 6 leads in, all right. And I'm going to further extend on this. All right. Even if you're taking 5 to 6 leads a month, okay. I know that the average amount of follow-up and communication to close a lead, all right, is seven contacts, 7 touch points. And that's if you've done a really good job at sales presentation. We build systems that follow up for 90 to 120 days. All right. If you're running leads, Facebook leads is a great example. Anybody here running Facebook leads, Google leads? Okay. You might notice a lot of them appear to be ghosting you. All right. A lot of guys quit early with these kind of campaigns as well because they're not getting a response. Okay. And if you are slow to respond, don't even bother going on those platforms. Don't even bother. You may as well throw your money in the wind. Okay. Because the people who get, the results from those type of platforms, Facebook, Instagram, all right, Google's, if they're not directly calling you, all right, SEO even these days, it's just about across the board. Okay. The guys that are getting the real results, okay, again, look at how they are responding to their customers, and you're going to find that a lot of them are using automations, right? A lot of them are improving in this area to get their customer, all right, onboard and in schedules fast and conveniently. Okay. Again, we do it day in and day out. All right. I've had guys come in and try and run Facebook leads and these other types of leads. And even if you're 10 or 15 minutes late to that, the algorithm is already what we call pixeled them. All right. And they're seeing every one of your competitors' ads up right beside them. Right. So if they call and there was no answer on your phone, or if they, enter your form or go on your website and there was no response and there was no anything, they assume, all right, you must be too busy. They're going to move on to somebody who isn't that busy. Okay. So the good news is, and the quick win for everyone here is we can track this. All right. This leads to improvement, right? If we don't track it, we can't manage it, right? Most CRMs that are available, including the one that we offer, and the one that we build with all of our clients, have this sort of tracking in them. And again, it doesn't have to cost you more time, all right? It actually saves you time. Okay. So in thinking about our speed to lead and thinking about our approach to marketing in general, all right, you may have noticed that again, it's getting harder and harder to sell, all right, new leads, all right, cold leads we call them, right? Who's had a bad experience, and maybe give me a one in the chat. Who's had a bad experience using platforms like Facebook, Instagram? Who's had a bad experience there? Who's felt like they got a bunch of junk leads? I feel like this is a redundant question, but okay. Maybe most of you guys here are surviving on word of mouth, right? How many of you guys are just purely word of mouth here? Word of mouth, okay. And Jennifer, I've actually had a chat with you, so maybe I'll pick on you a little bit if you feel comfortable. But can you scale a business successfully on just word of mouth these days? Is that a possibility anymore? I don't think so. Okay. The answer is no. I mean, if you want to get to a point where your business operates without you, okay, we have to include certain types of marketing. We have to include new leads, cold leads that are coming into our hands. Okay. Now, where most contractors fail, all right, is assuming that every lead they get should be actively problem aware, solution aware, and actively ready to buy now. Okay. That represents 3% of any market at any given time. Only 3% of people are actively ready to buy now. Okay. Now, below that, a further 20 to 30%, okay, maybe problem aware and solution aware, or problem aware, but not solution aware, rather. All right. And they're not ready to buy just yet. Okay. We run out, we give them a quote, we don't close the deal. And then what? Then what? Who follows up? Maybe they follow up once or twice. All right. And they give up right there. I'll tell you, that alone, all right, is where most of you guys are continuously relying on new leads or continuously relying on word of mouth rather than, again, having an entire database of people in different stages of your sales process, right? Having a consistent follow-up, right? Where we follow up with a lead, not just once or twice, but until in my world, until they provide a death certificate. All right. And even then, if somebody responds to me, I will follow up with a family member if I have to. Okay. Now that might seem aggressive to some, but at the end of the day, we have to understand that it's sales and marketing that grow businesses. All right. And if we're not doing those things, if we're not capable of doing those things well, all right, we're going to continuously be in the same position that we're at. All right. Now, I imagine some of you guys here that are on this call do want to grow their business, all right, and have been struggling to do so. So, usually whenever I have a call with anybody that's in this position, all right, they have one or two problems or both problems that are present. The first one is I can't get enough work. The second one is I can't get enough guys or I can't get enough manpower or, you know, somewhere in those realms where I can grow the business. Right? If I only had more leads or if I only had more sales or if I had someone to sell for me, all of these things are both the same. Okay? Both of these are the same problem. And what that's telling you is that you have to first, in my humble opinion, is get to the core of the problem. The core of the problem isn't just speed to lead, but it's the overall being able to um, bring in and close deals, being able to hire at will, being able to have a warm bench of new hires available. All right. And having a great operation system behind that. Okay. If we have a chink or a break in any of those points, all right, and we're not able to acquire new business at a predictable rate or acquire new hires at a predictable rate, all right, with a predictable amount of certainty, that leaves us in constant phase of feast and famine, right? We're doing good until we're not, right? We do all of our work and then all of a sudden we crash and it's just back and forth for years and years and it keeps us stuck. Okay. Systems, again, being a consultant, systems solve this problem. Okay. Systems have to come first, though, before we can add people. All right. And mindset shifts have to occur before we can allow those systems into our business and use them properly. Okay. The biggest thing that we encounter, all right, that we find is all of this sounds great in theory, right? And most of us can identify with an opportunity to improve here. All right. The biggest roadblock is when it actually comes time to change or to implement. Okay. So just adding a CRM to your business, all right, doesn't solve the problem. All right. Just like getting really quick at your speed to lead doesn't completely solve the problem, does it? Right. But it puts you one step closer and it allows you to have an unfair advantage over everyone else in your market. All right. With improving that one thing. Okay. So, how many of you guys here, again, I'm trying to feel the crowd out, but you guys are pretty quiet. How many of you guys here hate answering your phone while you're on the job? How many of you guys here really suffer with returning phone calls? Okay. Getting back to leads, getting back to new hires. Okay. All these important things that you're doing all day. All right. Let's put this into perspective. All right. Is this something that you should be doing yourself? And the answer is 100% no. All right. Again, these are the things that you systemize in your business. These are the things that you get off your plate because even if we had no systems, you should still not be doing them. Although they are extremely important, as I've just gone through and explained to you just how critical they are to growth. All right. No one here should be considering themselves doing this manually. All right. And it's very simple, logical reason why. All right. All of us could hire a $20 admin to do this. All right. And they would do probably a better job than we're doing. Okay. But there's limitations to that as well. An admin isn't going to work 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, are they? No. Okay. So this is where we would like to add a system that gives you an unfair advantage. Well, it's still available. Okay. Most contractors are still doing things the same way they did them 25 years ago. That's an advantage to anybody that's here, that's willing to learn and willing to adapt. All right. Is that every other market you look at any, look at tech, look at McDonald's, look at the restaurant industry. All of them have developed with technology. Okay. The one that has lagged behind the most is contractors. All right. Now, this is to anyone here's advantage because it's never been easier to adapt new technology into your business and to get new systems into your business that address these core fundamental problems. Okay. Faster lead times, reduced administrative costs, reduced overheads. Okay. These are all the things that you can do using technology and AI. Okay. These are all the benefits and features that you gain. Okay. Provided that you're putting them in the right place and using them at the right time. Okay. So I have a short offer for anybody that's here that's struggling with these problems. You can book in a call with me and my team, and we're happy to take a look and do a game plan for you in systemizing any of these areas where you may not be performing. Okay. If you want to have a look and see how you can improve this, right? I can promise you that it's going to produce an ROI almost immediately. Okay. Faster um, speed to lead, faster recruitment and hiring, all right, has almost no downside to it. And I can guarantee you that by implementing a system, all right, that does the work for you is much, much cheaper than an admin at 20 bucks an hour. Now we're maybe paying, what it costs for a cup of coffee a day. Imagine that, right? If you didn't have to take these calls and things could just be scheduled in your calendar versus you having to hire someone, train them, hope that they're doing a great job following your process, right? These are the kind of things we want to eliminate even needing a person to do. And you can certainly do today. Okay. So, on the topic of speed, all right, let's maybe have a quick open session here if you guys are interested in learning more on other areas of the business that we can apply this. All right. I'm happy to share some examples with you. And what I'm hoping for out of you guys is a conversation at least, so don't feel like I'm just talking to the screen, of things that you're looking to get improved or areas of your business that you'd like to see if a system can be applied to. So I'm going to really quickly share with you another key area that we've been able to systemize is the client journey be on the sales to production handoff. Okay, so client check-ins. Um, compliance, contract compliance. Okay. Um, customer warranties, we've been able to fully automate. We've been able to fully automate the entire uh, package for a closeout. Okay, we've also been able to automate selections. Okay, so customer selections, meaning that there is no person doing these things, but they're being followed up and being completed without us having to have our admin do it manually. Okay. Tracking and responding to emails and inquiries, change orders, another area where you can very easily systemize and improve the speed to lead on. Okay. The entire administration of a contract is now, if is never been easier to kind of implement and automate. Okay. Job costing, another area where you can use AI and automations to improve your job costing, knowing your real numbers, sooner than the end of the job or when your taxes get done. Okay. You can use these systems as well for actually having accurate dashboards that give you data to make data-driven decisions. Oh my, imagine that. We can actually see the financials and how our business is operating, right? Just out of curiosity, do you think that it would be easier to run a business when you knew your numbers, you knew your stats? Would you be able to make more informed and data-driven decisions, or would it be better to just kind of use your gut? I feel like that's a redundant question as well. But so anybody here interested in discussing areas of their business they want to know if they can be automated or systemized? Nope. Okay, just feel free to unmute yourself if you do want to discuss it or anything else that we've discussed. Okay. Whoa, tough crowd today. Okay. Well, if everybody feels informed and has had a has seen what the what the process is here and where they can improve. All right. Our quick wins for today, that you can take away from this call. Number one is track your speed to lead, right? Try to respond to your customers and your applicants sooner and see if your results improve. Okay. That should give you an easy, quick win in terms of improving your business and landing more sales or more hires. Okay. Anybody running ads here, all right, will definitely want to pay attention to speed of lead. Anyone running cold leads, okay, will definitely want to pay attention to these two factors. Cool. Well, I appreciate everybody's time today. And if you need any help, we're here to help you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll talk to you soon.